Please remain seated. The show will begin in 3, 2...
Like a Hellcat.
Hello, ghoul friends. Those who are freaky chic, fans of the supernatural, and all things spooky. I'm your host, FandomTraveller87, and welcome back to my channel. My very own dark, creepy corner of paradise, where I explore deep into the world of the unknown, the unusual, the morbid, where we sometimes have to, maybe just for a moment, suspend our disbelief and open our minds to the possibilities that the other world truly does exist, where the dead still walk among us, wanting to communicate. Now, before I continue on with this video, I just want to say thank you again for those who are listening. Your support means everything. It's always appreciated. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to get all notifications for future uploads. And if you have your own listener story that you would love to have submitted to be read by me on my YouTube channel, please go directly to my business email at hopegivesyouvings.com@gmail.com. If you have your own creepypasta story, or perhaps you want to share a paranormal experience, something that truly happened to you, and you can remain anonymous if you so wish. With that being said, let's dive right back into the burial vault, venture into the crypt for this next horrifying tale. This is an original story of mine called The Wayward Church, an original ghost story written and narrated by yours truly. Again, I'm FandomTraveller87, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Please drop a like, and I hope that you will send me positive feedback. I will be checking for comments, so feel free to share your thoughts on this story. Thank you, and let's do this. In Southern Virginia, 50 miles from the town of Nixon, there's an old church that was built in 1827. It is the last remaining structure, a remnant of what used to exist there. A colony that was wiped out a long time ago. Now the church, which has succumbed to age and neglect, rapidly gained popularity as being a hotspot for paranormal activity. It was in 2005 that a young man, a spiritualist, who was interested in the history of the church, had gone to investigate the alleged hauntings. The first reported incident occurred in mid-July of 1850, after a massacre took place inside the church walls. A nun by the name of Sister Bernadette, a woman in her late 40s, had one night gone on a killing spree before jumping off the edge of the top window and having broken her neck when she hit the bottom. It was rumored that the nun was possessed by something that was conjured up prior to the church's construction. Sister Bernadette in life was a very wicked person, but feared the Creator of all things. She was devoted to her faith, yet such dedication led her to becoming abusive, controlling, and very self-absorbed, acting as though she was some sort of divine being to be worshipped. The church was primarily used to house orphaned children, and it was also converted into a hospital. There were prison cells added in some months after Sister Bernadette and her followers had taken over the building. Many had respect for Sister Bernadette because not all knew her true colors and were blinded by her acts of kindness and generosity. She ruled the church with an iron fist, and her word was law. It was on the night around 6 p.m. in mid-July that Sister Bernadette had served dinner for the 30 orphaned children in the mess hall, having put poison in each of their hot bowls of soup. before proceeding to grab an axe from the storage shed outside. It was raining heavily that evening, and there were 10 other children, young girls and boys, in the hospital wing that were hacked to death while they were asleep. The other nuns who heard the commotion, some were chased out, and some met the same fate, having all been beheaded by Sister Bernadette. Seeing as the church was so far from town, nobody within a mile or two could hear the blood-curdling cries of the petrified nuns that died at the hands of their cruel leader. After that, the church had a massive turnover of buyers, and within 6 months or less, it was always listed on the market. In 1892, there was another reported incident. A priest named Father Norman Pierce had bought the church and had plans to renovate it into a dream home for him and his pregnant wife. But as soon as he started construction, things would go flying and doors would open and slam shut on their own. A large painted statue of Jesus Christ in the center of the altar upon its platform would cry tears of blood, and the sound of disembodied voices of women in agony would be heard coming from all around them. The couple only lasted 2 weeks before moving out entirely and putting the building back up for sale. September 9th, 1922, another reported incident. A Navy man, his son, and his ill-ridden mother move in and start renovations. His son suffers from night terrors and frequent sleepwalking, only to be lured to the top room window, possessed by something, the voice of a woman who told him to jump off. The sick grandmother was attacked by being pushed down the stairs and having injured her right ankle. Then just a week later, the son is nearly strangled in his sleep. The trio moves out just 2 days later. April 2nd, 1948. A former Pearl Harbor airplane pilot, his Japanese wife and 3 daughters arrive. They move in and they don't experience anything disturbing during renovations, while adding in a few bedrooms and updating the kitchen as well as the dining area. Then the eldest daughter, who was taking a bath early one night before supper, nearly drowns in the tub, claiming someone tried to push her under the water. Then the middle child claimed to have been thrown off her bicycle by an apparition who looked like an older woman who was dressed as a nun. The littlest of the 3 claimed to have seen the same nun visit her in the middle of the night, creeping out of her bedroom closet. When her parents asked her what the nun looked like, the youngest daughter described the woman looking pale and bloody, very thin, and had a sunk-in, bony face, and her neck was at an odd angle, as though it was broken. This went on for a month until the family decided to pack their things and move. January 4th, 1962. Another priest and his wife Lizzie, with their twin boys, move in. About 3 months into living in the church, the wife's demeanor changes drastically. She acts physically violent towards her husband and children by punching, kicking, and dragging them sometimes by their hair or shirt collars. The wife then starts convulsing and having severe nosebleeds to terrible migraines, often isolating herself in the attic. She claims a voice is telling her to murder her family. She is found dead the next morning at 6 a.m., hanging from a noose in the kitchen. October 31st, 1977. A group of teens drive out to the old church to drink beer and explore the building. 2 of them go into the basement area with the prison cells, and they are gone for more than an hour. Then one by one, each of the teens who go searching for the others never come back out. March 12th, 1988. An artist and his eldest daughter move in. The daughter immediately starts to feel uneasy, not wanting to step foot into the building. As she approaches the front door, she becomes lightheaded, and she feels eyes watching her. There's this heaviness in the air, this weight that is suffocating, and she doesn't know how to tell her father. She is often at home alone while her father is out, while she sees shadows, hears footsteps, doors opening and closing, objects randomly being placed in one area of the building to the next, and so forth. Then the daughter claimed, while she was asleep in bed, she'd see a woman standing at the left foot of her bed on the 2nd floor. A nun, pale and bloody, with a sunk-in, bony face, and a neck at an unnatural angle, badly broken. This goes on every night, and eventually she goes insane, being admitted to a psych ward and later found dead in her cell. The confirmed cause of death is a supposed seizure, and the father kills himself with a gunshot to the head up in the attic less than a week later. August 3rd, 1999, an elderly couple move in, adding in a barn and running a farm on the property. Soon after, their animals, mostly their horses, would easily get spooked by something in the barn and would stop eating altogether. Their hens, chickens, and geese would be found cut in half and sometimes beheaded. Then 3 months later, the wife smelled smoke, but the whole building was searched and there was no fire anywhere. Then, while sleeping in their bed, the bed had levitated 5 inches off the ground, and a vase had been thrown across the room, smashing against the opposite wall. Then the bed landed violently back on the wood floor. The couple immediately moved out and eventually put the building back on the market. Fast forwarding to the spring of 2005, Austin Summers, a psychic medium, went to collect evidence of spirits that haunt the church. He drove up and parked his car. Then Austin entered the building and closed the front door behind him. He walked along the creaky, rickety floorboards, activating his flashlight. The building had no working electricity, but it still had running water. He set up in one of the rooms that a nun slept in, and he installed cameras in all other areas of the building. Eventually, he had gone to bed, and that's when all hell broke loose. Something that still to this day plagues his mind and still follows him wherever he goes.
For more awesome content, like and subscribe.